For any change you make in your life, there has to be two things to make that change become a real value for you. The first thing is that this change should be lasting, and the second thing is the change you are making in your life should be consistent. Being lasting means that the change you are making becomes a part of your daily routine and habits. And consistent means that you should be doing that thing regularly on consistent basis so that that change is embedded in your life and in your routine. But unfortunately, this seldom happens, meaning that the changes that we want to make in our lives does not really last or we are not consistent in them. How many times have you observed in your life that, for example, if you are on a diet and you try to maintain the diet levels for the next 3 to 5 days, but after that, the habit vanishes. Or for example, you try to make a workout routine in which you decide that I would be exercising daily for 40 to 50 minutes. You try to exercise for the next 2 to 3 days, but it really doesn't embed in yourself, and after 2 to 3 days, you are just off with it. Or for example, you try to have a morning walk routine, but it really doesn't last after you have done this habit for about 7 to 8 days. Speaking technically, you were successful in implementing that change in your life, but that change was not consistent and it was not lasting. This may happen in many areas of your life. For example, you are working as an employee and in order to earn some other income, you decide to have a freelancing business based on copywriting. And to embed the habit of copywriting in yourself, you try to write about 1 hour on daily basis. During the first few days, you were very energetic and you were very much complying with your daily schedule of writing for about 1 hour or so. But after 3 to 4 days, you were just getting down in your motivation. Take another last example. You try to save X amount of your money as monthly savings and you save it for about a month or so, but after 3 months, for example, you get into some financial difficulties and you are not able to save that money on consistent basis. Once again, you try to make a change in your life, but that change was not consistent and it was not lasting in your life so that it can really provide you real value. So for changes to be providing you real value in your life, those changes should be lasting in your life and those changes should be consistent, meaning that you should be performing those changes and those habits on regular basis. I'm sure that you would be relating these examples in your life and you would be thinking about some other things that you try to change but that change really didn't last. Creating changes in our lives, in my opinion, needs 3 principles, and these are the principles that I'm going to teach you here. If you really want to make some great changes in your life, and in my opinion, if you really want to make some instant changes in your life, you need to follow these 3 core principles. In my opinion, I would term these 3 principles as 3 steps to make everlasting changes in your life. These are the 3 principles. If you follow, you can really create some great changes in your life. In this video, I would be sharing with you the first principle, and in the next upcoming video, I would be sharing with you the remaining 2 principles. So, without a further ado, let's get started with 3 principles that can really create great changes in your life. Well, if you really want to make some great changes in your life, the first thing that you need to do is you need to reject your current state and you have to raise your standards. You really want to say to yourself and make yourself believe that this is really not me and this is not what I deserve in my life. For example, if you are fat, then you have to convince yourself that this is really not me and I really want to improve my physical fitness. And if you, for example, are not happy with your professional life, you have to convince yourself and you have to reject your current state, that you have to convince yourself that you are really not happy with your job and you are not happy with your profession and you really want to do something that really inspires you and really makes you happy. You really need to convince yourself that this is not the standard of life you determined for yourself. If you are struggling financially, if you are not able to save some amount of money on regular basis, then you should really convince yourself that this is not really the life that I wanted, and this is not the financial condition that I really want, and this is not my standard. I really need to raise my standard and I really need to come up with something that can improve my financial life. So, if you really want to make some great changes in your 8 areas of life mastery, you have to reject the current state in which you are in and you have to raise your standards in those areas. So, in my opinion, take a piece of paper and write down things that you will never accept in your life. Write down what things you will never tolerate in your life in the 8 areas of life mastery. And then I would recommend you to write down what are your standards of life in these 8 areas of life mastery. In my opinion, changes doesn't really last in people because they have not rejected their current state. They have not created massive pain with their current state so that they could really hate it. And if you do not hate your current state, if you are not really convinced that you are not happy with your current state, then really you cannot make some great changes in your life. So, in order to make some great change in your life, you have to follow the first step. You have to raise your standard and you have to reject the current state in which you are in. For this, I would really want you to answer the 2 questions that I have stated earlier. For each area of your life mastery, I would want you to answer these 2 questions. You have to answer what you will not accept in your life in these 8 areas of life mastery. And then you have to answer what are your new standards in these 8 areas. If you have no information about the 8 areas of life mastery, I have provided a link in the section below to my previous video on the 8 areas of life mastery. I would really want you to view that video so that you can have a comprehensive information about what these 8 areas of life mastery are. So, in order to make some great changes in your life, you have to first follow this initial step. You have to raise your standards and you have to reject your current state. In the next video, I would be discussing with you the remaining 2 steps or principles that would create some everlasting changes in your life. So stay tuned for the next video, and I would request you to like this video and subscribe to my channel if this channel is creating some difference in the quality of your life. This is Rameez Ahmed signing off from the High Performance Quest. Hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.